Should,
I don't
now
think we're
we
streaming.
okay. We should be live now. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We are up and running. A little bit of a hiccup there. Apologies for the slightly awkward start, but here with Zelkos of TnT Events. Thank you for being here with me tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am glad we've been able to do this and hop on and talk about your upcoming event. You've been doing this for what, most of this year at this point?
Most of this year, yeah. So basically, I'll give you a little history of like how it started, where it came from, and where we're trying to go. Long story short, me and Jed, he was one of my teammates on Paradox, and we kind of came together after the Fun Pro Tour, and we were like, hey, we really like that. Let's do something more with it. And we kind of sat around and figured, let's just start a team or start a league or start something. And then we kind of realized that in the area there wasn't a lot of buy-in for just basically competitive Nerf as it was. So we kind of asked around, and we've got we got some people together, and it was really Jed and I where we just came together and really put our foot forward. And his last name starts with T, my last name starts with T. And so we were like, how? And then so it was actually one of our friends, Gotham, who is a regular, who's one of the Uno admins. He's like, why don't you call it TnT Events? And so we were like, I was like, that's just perfect. Like, like now I have the whole thing. I can just go from there. And then, we've been running regular events since November, and some more successful than others. We've had, competitive clinics, which I'll go over in a little bit. But yeah, and then we've also had our night games, which have been really fun. When as much as I know you would disagree, when comp gets a little too much, we try to like break it up with the night games and do that kind of stuff. And that's usually because it's a lot cheaper to get the space at that point in time.
That is plus. I will say, as much as I am big into competitive, and that's my main focus, it's important to have that split, those that variety of games that you can go to and participate in. I love to go to regular games and goof around and play with random blasters. Like having the ability to do both of those things and other game types as well is super valuable. So I'm glad you've got that going as well. And something that you kind of mentioned that uh, doing this yourself and kind of making things happen yourself, and that's something that I always want to advocate for people to make happen wherever they are. If you kind of want to have a competitive scene in your area, but you don't, or even you just want to have a regular hobby scene, be that person. Make
Yeah,
that happen.
yeah, and don't get me wrong. Let me clarify some things too. We have a great Nerf scene out in New Jersey, New York. With it's the United Nerf Ops. They were just, a lot of them wanted to do focus on local events. Because it's a tri-state area of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and there was just a lot of places going all around. And I had recently moved from California, where I was playing in SoCal, and I was the treasurer of the foam fighters. And I basically had said, all right, let's bring something here, and met Jed and everything like that. And we really said, hey, let's own competitive in the Northeast and see what we can do from here. And ever since then, it's been great. Like when we get people coming up, and we have their Maryland come up, and we have new people come in, they come in, and I love seeing these guys. And so one of my favorite things to do is like I basically we do this thing where we came up with the first. Well, let me rewind a little bit. So the first event that we ever had was a scrim, right? And so we had designated teams, and here and there, and there was a people that had played competitive for a while, and then there was the put together team of people who had never been introduced to competitive. And it was really funny because it kind of put some things into perspective for us, Jed and I. When we had played, someone had said, it wasn't really fair, and we were in my head. I was like, well, it's competitive, but then it really got us thinking about what we need to do as event coordinators to make it fun for everybody, so that way when people come in and they play competitive, they don't feel like, well, I'm not good, or I'm not going to do well, so I don't necessarily want to come back. We wanted to get rid of that experience completely. So what we started developing was called the Captain's Clinic. And basically what we do is um, we have dedicated people who are coaches or trainers or captains. That's the word I should have said in the beginning. Basically, and so those captains are basically, the go-to guys on that team for the new people that may be on their team, and then that way it's also split up, so that way they have some guidance, and if something happens where we need to make plays or strategies, or they have questions, or maybe if the captain has a little bit more gear that they can share with their teammates, so that way it gives them a little bit of a competitive edge. And the feedback for that was just so overwhelmingly positive. It was really cool. Like, and then I remember the first time we did the captain's clinic. We were doing a speed dart clinic, and basically we had, all the teams were within a, I would say 10 points of each other at the end of the what's called, and everybody felt like, they contributed, they played hard, and no one felt like the beater team, which was really cool and was really exciting, and that's why we've been really doing captain's clinics from there out.
I think that's a great thing that you've kind of come up with, and a way to get people involved and feel more comfortable and less potentially stressed or worried about participating in competitive. Because I'm sure you've heard me tell you plenty of times, and something I preach all the time is that just getting people in the door and trying competitive often leads to them getting hooked on it, because it really is
Yeah.
so much fun. It's just a different style of our hobby, or a different addition to it. And so being able to get people to try it where otherwise they may not have, and then get them to have fun and see them having fun, is not only great for the hobby itself, but it's kind of like a feel good type thing. You're like, oh, awesome, this person gets to now participate in one more aspect of our hobby and have fun doing so. So it's a great way to expand that player base. So I'm thrilled that you've come up with that. And I actually, since you mentioned running speed dart for one of the first ones, I do want to have you touch on how your clinic runs a variety of different games.
Yeah, so basically what we try to do is we try to do is, so I like to say that we are not focused on speed dart. We are not focused on flag dash. We are not focused on, like King of the Hill BCA stuff. We like to do as many as possible, so that way everybody can get their flavor of Nerf or flavor of competitor and competitive, and so that way, we have that well-rounded experience, right? Some people may not really love the whole deathmatch kind of style that game type is. So okay, let's do King of the Hill, see how that works for you. Do you like that better? Do you not like that better? Do you have feedback on it? Do you want to change the rule set? Believe it or not, and I told Dart Sweep I was going to mention this. Dart Sweep and the Maryland crew basically came to New Jersey, did the clinic in November and a couple clinics after that, and because of that clinic, Flag Dash was born. So they came up and they were like, wow, we like this rule set. We like that part of the rule set. We like this and we like that. And let's take that and bring it back down to Maryland. And then, they basically said, hey, you guys did really good. And then they took what we kind of did and then just did it better and made a tournament out of it, which I absolutely appreciate, which was I love. So it was really cool to be a part of that in some sort of way.
That is fantastic. And I loved how quick the turnaround was for testing, and the kind of finalization of the rules for Maryland Mayhem. They got it up and running. They had the rules out. They had the variety of layouts out with, was it 2 or 3 months to spare? I want to say.
Yeah, we were the actual we TnT Events was actually the first one to test it in a competitive format setting. So with low stakes and the biggest field. So basically, we our field is about 100 by 100, and so they at their field that they used was like I think it was like 90 or 115 by like 180, and so but that was the biggest. They hadn't even tested run that format on that field until the actual day of the tournament. So our field was the biggest field that they had, and it went perfectly. When we had gone through it, and we had Uno was there, Maryland was there, some people all from different parts of the other states were there, and it was just like one of the coolest mix of different types of competitive formats that was just blended perfectly, and it was really fun, and we had a great day, and nobody really, I mean, like I said, like we try to keep complaints to a minimum.
It's
But we also go ahead, go ahead, go
that's
ahead.
not always the easiest thing, but it's also important. It is, especially if you're, although you're talking about Maryland Mayhem, the tournament day itself, you tried to keep, or
Well, oh
because
no, our test, our
okay,
test, what's it called? We try to
yeah,
keep it at the competitive. Yeah, but
and
since there's no stakes, it's easier. But Maryland did a fantastic job
yes,
during their tournament.
yes, I really enjoyed watching the coverage of the Maryland Foam tournament, but going back to that kind of low number of complaints and whatnot, um, I do like the concept of keeping people from being overly negative or conflict arising. That I totally agree with. But one of the to me sole reasons for testing is to find those things that people will complain about or find issues with that you can then refine and improve upon for that final tournament release of the rules.
Yeah.
Just probably, I assume, more in line with what you're thinking, but testing is there for breaking the rules in my mind.
Yeah,
uh,
and we 100% love to do that at our events as well. We actually got an updated rule set from Maryland last month,
nice.
and we got to test it for them. So we got with the updated rules, and it was better than the first time. I could tell you that it was a lot more fun. So we're looking forward for people to getting to play that on a bigger format. And yeah, and it's just been like our goal in general is to get more people into competitive, whether or not that they've actually done competitive or they feel like they can do competitive. I think it was Maritime Foam. His first competitive event was the foam tour. Was the Maryland tournament,
Right.
and he got addicted to it there, and he had never really done competitive himself, and so seeing someone like him who is more on the fun collective nerf side, just get a $60 blaster, and then just not thinking that he was going to be as competitive as he was, and then all of a sudden gave Team Smog one of the hardest times at the tournament. Was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's reminds me of the story I go back to probably every single time something like this comes up. Is I remember at FoamCon 2018 they set up an Ion Rush field outside the convention, and we went out and played. It was great, loved doing that. And then I went back into the convention, and I think it was Master Chef from the SENC group, or Atomic Dart League, although they are not Atomic Dart League anymore. They are Impact Dart League.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Believe
Yeah.
so. But yeah. Anyways, he came up to me and he was like, I'm hooked. I played like one day, and I just, it's all I want to do now. And it's just like, or something along those lines. It's like, yes, this is why making things accessible to people and putting things out there that allow people to maybe try something they wouldn't have, as I mentioned earlier, is just so wildly important for our side of the hobby.
Yeah, and it's not easy. Like,
No.
and you know, you and I, Jang, we've had long talks about this. You know, like you and I were talking the very beginning and saying like, you know, you've been trying to do it since what, like 2017, like, you know, and I was talking to my wife about you the other day, and I was like, yeah, he was like so ahead of his time in regards to like getting competitive going,
I want to
and you
say,
know
yeah, 2014, 2015.
yeah, even so,
Yeah, it's been a minute.
but yeah, yeah, but yeah, we definitely want to bring competitive nerf, like, you know, and make it a staple. And we've been trying to get, you know, more people to come up to the East Coast, more people to get involved. You know, Uno's been a great support, Maryland has been a great support, and I can't thank them enough for the things that they do. Even, you know, and when they show up, they're, you know, 100% playing. You know, they really really want to see this going as much as we do. And for us, for Jed and I, TnT, and also Gotham, who also puts a lot of effort into this as well. You know, it's just so appreciated when we get to see someone come in for the first time and the return guys, and like, you know, when whenever I say goodbye and they're like, yeah, great event. You know, this was really good, and that's what we're all about, is the experience, right? Like, if I don't make it a good experience for that person or that group that shows up for the first time, then it's what's the point, you know? Like, I want people to come back. I remember there was this guy named Daniel, and he's been coming to a few here and there, and it was funny because he was on my team. I like to take the newbies on my team, and it was funny. He came in with like a worker swordfish, and there was a couple other people that I had thrown on my team. And I was like, you know what? Here, and I gave him my SBL, and I gave someone else, you know, different types of blasters, so that way they would, you know, feel a little bit more, you know, empowered and bold on going into battle with us. And you know, it was great. It was just so fun.
I think that's fantastic to allow people that access to things they might not have as well. And something that kind of struck me while you're talking there is the fact that people are thanking you for the event afterwards and recognizing the effort that's put in to run a good event. And that's, to me, seeing people give recognition to the organizers is something that I always value. And it's great to hear that people are understanding the effort that's being put in. And I know, you know, your region, Uno, has a fantastic kind of group, a large group of people to kind of not necessarily run things, but make events succeed and have that core
Yeah,
foundation.
and they do. And you know, it was funny because I went from the mecca of you know, so in LA we didn't have an FPS cap, right? So everybody was running around with calibers that hit like, you know, 250 plus. And then going to New York, where they it was funny because I remember it vividly. Like, I was walking up, and they play at this spot at a paintball spot in down southernish Jersey, and it's a great spot. Like, the deal that they got with the Cousins Paintball is fantastic. You get to play all day for relatively inexpensive. And I walk in and I have my caliber, and it's funny because I walk into this wall of flywheels. Like, everybody has a flywheel, and it was just really funny. There was one person, and I know Sanchez is watching, so I'm going to tell. He had a Lynx, and he came up to me because I had my Lynx, and he showed me it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And so we start playing, and it was just really like the most FDLs I've ever seen in one place. I think Ness has like six at this point, so it was really funny going from that to, you know, having, you know, fly Springer Master Race, which was, you know, me in California, versus, you know, being the new guy with a Springer with a bunch of wall of which with a bunch of flywheels at the time. And now they're kind of, ever since I've gotten around there, a lot of people are kind of like adopting the Springer mentality a little bit.
It's super interesting how each region kind of has their own meta. And this is one of the reasons I'm so big on trying to get the regions to come together and play against each other, because that's when we see metas clashing and play styles clashing. And like, that's just super interesting to me because I want to see not only what players are the best, what teams are the best, what strategies are the best, what kind of loadout configurations. Like, are you running a 2-3 flywheel Springer split, or some teams are running 4-1? What's the reasoning? What's your dart allocation? Like, all those little details are going to be different wherever you're playing. So
Yeah.
I'm it's the plan is there to get people together, but we're a little bit short on getting it done just yet. So I'm looking forward to that future when we do start seeing more and more teams traveling. I know I'm going to be pushing for Dauntless to be a, doing one travel tournament a year is the minimum goal. Hopefully we can achieve that, because I miss, like, I wanted to be at Maryland Mayhem with all of you. That looked so good.
Oh, you were missed, but it was so fun. And obviously, I'll make a little announcement. Obviously, I do have a Team Smog jersey, and it was one of the jerseys that I helped design. So that's the reason why I'm wearing it. And it's probably not going to be worn in an official capacity anymore, because the team that I had played with on at the Foam Pro Tour was Nebula, and so Nebula has officially absorbed Team Smog into their kind of role. So unfortunately, I love this jersey and I will love it forever, but I am officially 100% Team Nebula at this point. But yeah, man, like it was to go back. I know we're supposed to be talking about TNT and we're talking about Maryland, but but like it was so good. It was so well thought out, so well. If there was an issue, people they fixed those issues, they addressed those issues. It didn't. No one ever felt like they went unheard if they had a complaint. Um, and yeah, it was. I can't thank them enough for putting on such a good event,
Yeah.
especially something that we deserve.
And while, as you mentioned, we are here to talk about TnT events, for the most part, it's important to recognize other events when they do well and what we can learn from them. So I'm sure there's plenty you learned going to another event that you can then apply to your events. So
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah,
something it's always worth taking a moment to appreciate, what others are working on.
yeah.
But on that note, I have kind of wanted to ask you what your plans are for the future of TnT events. What's the scale? What's the kind of regularity you want to run things at?
So we're starting at this, the clinics, right? And we do it about once a month. Right now we get anywhere from 16 to 25 people, coming in, and that's not including, we have this one I wouldn't even call him a teammate at this point, for just me as on TnT events. He is our ref, and he's been such a good ref. Every time he comes in, he organizes, he gets things going so well. So I want to give a quick shout out to him. But we have 15 to 25 people at any given event, right? The 15 people is good for 3v3s. After if you're trying to do 5v5s or whatever, it's not so much. But I really would like to get to that sweet spot of like anywhere 40 to 50 regulars, so that way we can just basically run those events, and those clinics would come more towards scrims, right? We would keep the clinics here and there, but kind of do that. Ultimately, I would like to get a league going, and really have that solidarity of maybe we can get something twice a week. I'm not sorry, twice a week, twice a month, on a league, and then have some sort of league championship at the end of a 3-4 month period where it would have some sort of cash prize involved in it. Um, but yeah, like, and then eventually I would also like the dream would be to have an official TnT tournament where we wouldn't need, where we could just get the buy-in and get everybody's support. This has kind of been a proof of concept, for the past 6 months. Is it 6 months? 7 months. 7 months. It's been a proof of concept for the past 7 months, and Jed and I feel like, ooh, there's ups and downs, but with any business that there is, and we want to be able to take that proof of concept and say, hey, this can work. This is how you do it in your region. and then so that way there's more leagues, more official statuses, more, and then you, me, San Diego, Florida, Texas, we all start, coming together at this one point in time and start having this grand competitive league that, we can be proud of, that the people essentially built.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the best way to put it. I've, as you mentioned, been kind of pushing this for a while, but the biggest thing I've learned is that grassroots is kind of the way this community likes to work. So we can't really force anything. We can't, try and push one thing over the other. It's gonna grow how it's gonna grow, and we can try to guide it and provide our experience and knowledge from that experience. But regions are going to evolve how they're going to evolve, and we're going to be along for the ride. And I'm going to enjoy the ride. So that's something
For sure.
that's yeah, I'm with you 100% on wanting to get all the regions together, though. That is the grand
Yeah.
goal. And
It's not cheap.
no,
It's hard to do, but and we've all been to the events. You hold yours. Maryland holds theirs. We've been to a couple of them. They're not easy, and sometimes it's a little thankless. But we keep doing it because we love it, right?
yeah,
Like we love the experience that I've had hanging out with all of my friends. From Nerf, from this hobby, has been just a great experience. Even when I went to a bad event, I didn't have a bad time because I had a lot of friends that were either commiserating or we were hanging around and doing our own thing, and it was always fun. And then you have your time after the event as well, which is also great. So I if you're able to make it to a big event, do it. And if you're able to support that big event, financially, sharing social media, please do, because it means so much to us. And I know this, Jank. It's like every bit of advertising that we have to do, everything of work. If people are sharing it and supporting it, we're going to work hard. The little effort that you put in, we'll probably put 4 times, 5 times more of that effort to make it a better event for you, because we know we're doing it for something.
I'm gonna add one more thing to that way to support, and that's volunteering. If you're gonna be in an event and it's a multi-day event, say, uh, donate some of your time. If you're not gonna be doing anything important or particular for a few hours one of the days, let them know, hey, I'm here to help. What can I do? And if you let them know beforehand, I guarantee you they will find something that you can help them with, and they will be very thankful, because events run off of volunteers. You mentioned, you're kind of head ref for things. Without people like that, these events are infinitely harder, sometimes impossible. So having, go ahead.
Yeah, I literally couldn't imagine. At this point, I literally couldn't imagine an event without Josh.
It's how quickly those people become ingrained in the events. So shout out to all the people that donate their time and volunteer and help make these things viable events for everyone to participate in. On that, I believe there was something you wanted to announce for the future.
Oh yeah. So this is the official announcement that we have been, Darts Week was kind of forcing my hand on this, well, forcing Jed and I's hand on this. So we kind of decided that we were going to have a event the day after APOC, which is held in New Jersey as well, and it's a big event as well. We talked to people and we stole it and called BPOC. And I wish if you could pull up the flyer. I don't know if you'd be able to share it or not, but if you're not, I'll just put it in the chat somewhere. But basically, we're calling it, the most casual, the number 1 casual comp event ever. And it's basically, we're going to be having it that day after APON in Clifton, New Jersey, where we usually have our our events. It's going to be, $35. It's going to start at 10 a.m. It's going to end at 4, and it's going to be a flag dash sprint. So if you have a teammate, if you have a team, you're welcome to play with your team. If you don't have a team, don't worry about it. We're going to make sure that you have a great time and find someone to play with either way. But yeah, like BPOC, yeah, there it is. And believe it or not, that's Dart Sweep. Going and doing that. So we're gonna have that all day Sunday, the day after APOC. So if you're heading over to APOC and you just don't want the fun to end, just come over and head up north a little bit. I think it's about an hour north, but that's fine.
I think that is absolutely fantastic that you've added something to kind of a historic event in our hobby. It's been around for quite a while, it's well known, and it's something that it's always historically been a 1 day event, I believe. So turning it into a multiple day kind of thing is something I think it's a great bit of growth for it. Kind of putting it up to that kind of multi-day event status that we have with things like End War, Maryland Mayhem, Ragnarocktoberfest, and now having another big multi-day style event on the East Coast is kind of further cementing that Northeast kind of density of events and players and everything that's really, really appealing for people in that region or within travel distance, say maybe the Midwest, because I know Midwesterners are willing to drive like crazy.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends. Well, I think I'm not sure if you know Foam Juggernaut. RJ, he was on Frumble and another team at Maryland. But yeah, he drives 9 hours to our event sometimes, and I'm like, I'm like, and well, he stays at my place, so which is fine. But he that's dedication, and
That is
I props to him for that.
massive respect for anyone willing to make drives like that. I know you got him. I know Buff Daddy drives all over the place to go to
Oh
events.
yeah,
That man
yeah.
is a monster. I don't know how he does it. The envy I feel for all the things he gets to participate in is immense.
Jeff drives down
Yes.
from Canada. All of Orca team drove up to Maryland.
God, that's just that. I
So
love
that
that dedication.
which we loved having them, by the way. They were we loved meeting them, I should say. They were great guys, and I've talked to Junior on Discord before we had actually played against each other. But yeah, it was absolutely fun. But yeah, we were just basically we're trying to add to the event. Make TnT is partnering with the Foam Alliance. They were the ones that pushed us. They're the ones that said that would help us. So we're calling it BPOC. Uno's event on that Saturday, TNT's events on that Sunday. So I'm going to be putting up the link to purchase tickets tonight. It's all written out and ready to go. So if you guys are interested and you want to make it a fun weekend in August, we'll be there.
Awesome. I love that you have the link ready to go, and that'll be up tonight. I'm sure we'll get that shared and posted somewhere around here once it goes up as well. And I do, this is me being optimistic, but since this is going to be a clinic, is there potential, you think, maybe for it to be more than a clinic in the future if it's well received?
Oh, okay. This is going to be a scrim, so it's one step above a
Sorry,
clinic.
thank you for clarifying that.
It really just depends. If this goes well and we have more time to plan it out, absolutely. This was kind of, it was kind of a last minute decision. We had put some feelers out to make a tournament, and a lot of people were kind of like, "Oh, I have plans that," and since it was last minute, it's totally understandable. So we didn't really get a lot of volunteers that we were looking for. So we didn't really want to half-ass it. We wanted to make sure that if something was going to happen, it was going to happen, on par of like I really say that Maryland set the bar, right? So I wasn't gonna put something out there that I had been to that I had enjoyed and put something that was subpar. So, if next year we're able to, from this clinic or from BPOC's clinic, from, King of the Hills clinic or from BPOC's scrim, it turns into, yeah, we loved it. We'll definitely do that next year. Absolutely. And we'll have a whole different structure, to be quite honest.
Awesome. I think one of the reasons I asked that is because APOC is such a, I'm sure it's evolved since the older events, but it's such a different event from a lot of the regular other events in our hobby. You may be able to reach some different players. And my
Yeah,
hope is
yeah.
that those players will get to enjoy this and experience something a little different again, like we talked about earlier with that accessibility and outreach. So I'm hoping that you'll find even more fresh players from this scrim day.
Yeah, and we want more people. Like, right? Like, we love sharing this with everybody, and anybody that, like I said, if you don't think you're in shape for competitive, or you don't think you'll be good at competitive, just try it. Like, that's my biggest thing is just try it. If you don't like it, the worst thing that happens is you found out you didn't like something, right?
Yeah.
And it's only what it's only in reality, and it because we've seen the videos, it's really probably a whole 20 minutes out of your life.
Yeah, it's while being in shape certainly helps for this, and depending on the game type you're playing, there is more or less running. But
Yes.
you don't need to be in peak, absolute monster physical condition to do competitive, blaster tag. It's just not necessary. You want to be able to run and do some running and the basics, but you don't need to be able to sprint for 20 minutes straight without,
Yeah.
gassing out. It's a lower requirement for this. And even beyond that, if you aren't someone that feels like you're in the best of shape, you can play a backfield position and do even less running. There's options. There's ways to make it work for you. So don't dismiss it if you feel like maybe I'm not where I should be to participate. I don't want to bring my team down or anything like that. Don't worry about that. You don't need to be, a physical beast to be competitive in this hobby.
Yeah, and like I said, that's one of the better things about like TnT events at this point in the stage with their clinics, right? It's a really safe place to try it out, and so if you're able to come to one of our clinics just before you hit a tournament or a bigger event, come. It's you get a feel for it. If you don't like it, like I said, the worst thing you did is you wasted a little bit of time of your life. But at the same time, you're hanging out with people that have the same affinity for this hobby as you do. So it's a win. It's, in my personal opinion, it's a win-win either way.
Absolutely. Uh, I want to touch on kind of one more thing here before we maybe open up to see if there's any questions anyone watching has for you about TnT events or anything you're running or doing. And just talking about the player base that you have and the numbers that you have, and kind of giving a perspective to potential other groups that want to start running things. And you said you're at 15 to 25 players currently, which I think for 7 months in is phenomenal. And I think people out there should understand that having 5 to 10 would be ideal. So you can run, 5v5, or 6, you can run 3v3. Just having enough people to get a game going is worth starting.
Yeah, and for me, because I want to say, I had experience with foam fighters when I was living in LA, right? I was the treasurer there, and I'm going to kind of like break it down a little bit to the getting a club started, because then we'll go into the TNT kind of stuff. So the biggest thing that I had found was the key to our success was two things: consistency and being active on social media, specifically Facebook. When I would go and I would do with LA, it was the first Saturday of every month. All right, so no matter what, it was the first Saturday. So everybody had a specific time, specific day that they knew that it was going to be. And very occasionally did it change just because of the organizer schedule. But it was definitely something that helped, right? And then, just engaging with people on the Facebook group. That was such a big, just letting people in, letting people see what was going on. And I would say I started with, and then also, and then, we also had, but it's a little biased because San Diego, Southern California has such a great group out there, and so many numbers that like San Diego will drive 3 hours up to play at LA. So there was also that. But by the end of it, before I had left, we were having anywhere from 30 to 40 regulars at our events, and it was every age possible. It was anywhere from 10-year-olds to 55, 60-year-olds, and we all had a great time. So leading back to what my situation is with TnT events is, I try to be consistent, making sure that people know when the events are 6 months out, right, or at least 2 to 3 months out. I book my events with the venue about 6 months out, and then I posted it on my website so that way people have a general idea of when it's going to be, at least a month out. So the more time that you can give people to plan around your event, the better. Just so that way, it's like if they really want to go, they're able to go.
I think that is a very important thing to point out for anyone hoping to organize, that uh, quality of information and timing of information is so valuable to let people plan accordingly. So definitely thank you for pointing that out and sharing that with everyone. But before we take any questions, anything else you want to add about TnT events?
And we've talked about it before, but we're dedicated. That's what I want to say. We're dedicated for the people that come, whether they're an experienced veteran or a first timer that has never played I want to say even Nerf battle, like some sort of, or have ever been to an organized event. We are going to make sure that like you have a good time. And so if you are able to come out and join us, I will promise you, you will not regret it. Like, this is the one thing that I want to make sure. If you know that you have like an affinity or like just a little bit of an inkling to play or start joining this hobby, it's I'll make sure that you, one, understand what is going on at the event. Two, after you leave the event, all the resources you have, all the resources that are available for you to really dive deep into the hobby. And by the next time, I would say we've had like 3 or 4 people where they came to the first event, they had DZP Mark threes, and by the time they came back to the third event, they had SBLs, Mausers, you name it, they had.
Oh, the arms race is so real.
So true.
Awesome. I love that. I think you're providing something fantastic for your area and the players in it. So I'm looking forward to seeing the continued growth of it and what you accomplish with it as the years go on.
Sure, for sure.
There's a question I see that I think both of us can answer in turn, and that's, how do you handle insurance?
You go first.
All right. So when I was running the league here in California, I ran through Sadler Sports Insurance. For, I want to say I paid around $600 a year, and that covered up to 2 million. I want to say it was. It's been a few years since I ran things, so I didn't renew because why spend the money if we're not actively using it? But yeah, that was the best deal we could find. That was found by, I want to say, TK of Atomic Dart League at the time, or PFDL. One of the organizers of Atomic Dart League found Sadler Sports Insurance and shared it, and that is who I went through. And they worked despite me being in a different state. They were able to make that work. So it's something I would look into if you are needing insurance for your
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, that was we were in a similar situation. Um, it came to the point where it was just easier for me to establish a like an LLC and being able to get that insurance under that. So that was kind of the way I went, and we do have that. And then if you are very very lucky, some will let you run under their insurance. Cousins Paintball lets them run under their insurance. Reach out to paintball fields. See if they'll let you bring Nerf to the battles. And a lot of the times, you have to realize that sometimes they have these huge fields that are just sitting there not doing anything, and just talk to them, establish relationships. I literally called like so many venues until I found the one that would let us go there. So it's really also just kind of, I know this is, I live in New Jersey. Before this I was living in LA. There's a lot more available than other areas, but you know what, some of them, well, they just want more business. So if you're able to just keep calling and take the time out and find places that will do that, and then if not, make it happen on your own. Like find this park and just start building heavy duty obstacles, or I used, fortunately mine's indoor, so I was using your tutorial, and I've been using that ever since. But yeah, the harder venues are definitely the second hardest part of getting people together. But once you start finding that one spot, like, hold on to it, make sure that you treat them really well. I know at our venue, one of my rules is we don't leave until every dart is found, making sure it's clean, and that way it's not a problem for us to get back, to come back. So yeah, that's basically what I would say.
Yeah, that's huge, having a place that you like and likes you.
Yeah.
That can't be overstated enough with how difficult it can be to find venues. I know some groups have been trying to find a venue for years and have been having issues. So really, really hold on to that tight once you get somewhere that's good for you. And that is kind of one of the things that uh, is a perpetual topic in our hobby, is free versus paid. And the reality is, for venues, money is a thing. The people that are putting them on, they have to pay for the time. So uh, if you're there and are willing and able to put in to help fund things, if they aren't charging you for some reason, do so.
Yeah.
It's something that's a bit of a stigma in our hobby, paying for things and all of that. And the reality is, if we want nice venues, we need to pay for them. So
Yeah.
I'm never going to advocate for removing free events from our hobby, because it is
No.
a cornerstone of our hobby, and when able to, fantastic. But it's not always something that we're able to do, and having a wider range of things is better than something more narrow.
Yeah. And going back to that too, what I was kind of saying, when you're looking for spots, don't be too picky on the space, because if you're able to find a basketball court that'll let you do it, because you just want to start getting those consistent players. And once you start getting those consistent players, that'll contribute, put some cash flow into the hobby, that you're able to go in and get that insurance, get that bigger venue that you couldn't get without insurance before. So don't let the space hold you back. Make sure your players, are the focus point. Because if they have a good time, they're going to be willing to open up their wallets a little bit. If they're seeing that, hey, this person's organizing consistently. I've always had a good time. He listens. He does this or they do that. Every time we've asked about something, they're always engaging. They're willing to throw in like $25-$30 a month to play there. This is something that they really enjoy. So start by just seeing who would chip in for it. And I like to say, this is my old sales kind of person now, saying, don't sell from your wallet. Don't buy, don't sell from your wallet, because some people will put more in than you ever expected. So that's something I which was helped me with TnT.
That's great. Going for growing instead of starting bigger than you can realistically or
Yeah.
reasonably. I think that's it's a great piece of information for people. Um, and I see in chat considered yearly crowdfunding for the insurance for the club. I think that's
That's a good one. Yeah.
definitely worth it. We did not for the insurance. I ended up paying for insurance out of pocket myself for a group, but we did dart rentals. Basically, it was kind of not mandatory, but people kind of would just habitually put in a few bucks for dart rentals because of the kind of community, not responsibility, but I can't recall the word right now, but there's a sense of community push people to feel like, yeah, I'll put in a couple bucks, and building that feeling amongst players naturally can be really beneficial. And then you just take all that money and you can put it towards something, like we put it towards renting an indoor venue during the winter months to cut down on costs for that. So certainly something you can do, and you can find little ways for people to feel comfortable with pitching in, you know, a little bit here and there or more on some occasions, and feel good about it because they're contributing and getting something out of it.
Yeah, Kelly. I just want you to realize, and I see something you said. Starting an LLC makes me feel not great because I want the club to, feel like it's everybody's. But here's the thing: what I've noticed about clubs, right? And Jang, you can definitely tell me on this. There is a lot of key players that keep the one person that keeps the whole entire club alive. So don't feel bad because you know what, there's going to be people that come and go, and if you truly love it, you won't end it as soon as other people will. So, and you can always pass that on. You can always, move that LLC to somebody else or give it to them and explain it to them, if you're really done with it. So don't ever, let that hold you back, that you want it to be every part of everybody, because you, like somebody else said too, an LLC also does protect your personal liability, because something does happen to somebody when it's under your and it's under you, they go after you. Where an LLC, they just go after the business. So I'm giving weird life lessons for nerf stuff, but
If you're organizing events, look, it's a little bit more detail and dedication that you're going to put in. So having that knowledge about things is valuable and important. And uh, I agree that there are going to be those key people in a group that maintain a group running all the time. And without acknowledging and recognizing that that is the case, the group could cease to function at some point if everyone's trying to run it and no one's kind of steering things, or you don't have a concentrated group of people that are kind of the head organizers of things. I know in the Bay Area we have one group where there's like rotating people who kind of run the events, and that keeps them from getting burned out, which I think is a fantastic way to do it, because we went in the Bay Area from having 5 or 6 groups. So we had 5 to 6 games a month, to a number of the organizers getting burnt out and stopping their events, and then now down to 2 or 3 groups. So building in ways to prevent burnout is another important thing just to kind of tack on there, because yeah, it is real, it can happen, it can hit you kind of out of nowhere. So if you can find someone that you trust that is just as invested as you, definitely worth working with someone else. I know you've got Jed and
Jed and Gotham, I would like to say, because Gotham has been a big part of it as well. But those two, honestly, if it wasn't for for them, I probably wouldn't have kept going as far as I've gone.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's very easy to become overwhelmed in all of this, and just get spiraling downwards and be like, this isn't worth my time or my energy. And having that support system to run things with you really, really helps. Like, we would not have anything in the Bay Area without systems like that.
yeah, and we all need to vent, right? And you have to have someone that you trust to vent to, right? So that's one of the bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. That support system is invaluable. Uh,
Oh, let's ask some good questions. I want to. We got like we got some more time. Let's hear it.
let's do.
Ask some tough questions.
We can get one or two more. We'll close out about an hour. That's a good length, I think, for this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Basic Nerf saying curse my burnout. It's real, man. It's real, and it is not fun. Um, I actually didn't get to keep up with chat as we were talking about this, but
Yeah, we should go back.
I did kind of see some comments that were interesting, and Honda saying Captain's Clink set the trap for them in terms of arms race, and that is definitely something that happens to pretty much everyone, I say, in the hobby. Like once you hit a certain point and you're like, oh, there's so much cool stuff. I gotta, yeah. There, he's gonna go get his new toys. I see you have two of those in the background.
So one is RJ's that I had built because so I had built four of those in about, I want to say, 72 hours. So Gavin was I played with Gavin on Nebula, and so I reached out. He knew that there was a few people in the area that wanted them, and I don't do commissions a lot, but when I do, I make sure, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I would never be able to do it as a viable business. So when my friends who help and support me in this whole thing said, "Hey, can you make these for us?" I was like, absolutely.
That's awesome. I wasn't certain if the second one was yours or not, but seeing two right there is like, oh man, you're going hard on the SBF.
Yeah, this one's mine. The other one is RJ's, and I'll show this one. But yeah, both perform perfectly. I love them, and yeah, that's, if you can, when Gavin opens up more of the data, I would definitely. There are some little flaws, but easily fixed. But yeah,
That's great to hear that that's anything on there is something you think can be easily resolved, and that's always great for something that's a new and emerging platform to be able to just have most of the kinks ironed out from the start. Because as much as we love the Caliburn and the Talon Claw, all those kind of iterations of that platform, it evolves so many times in so many different ways. So I'm curious to see how this evolves, if it becomes a mainstay of the flywheel scene, and what people do with it and to it.
I hope it does, because I loved it. I mean, I have some gameplay footage of me with it, and I have yet to post it because just busy life. But I think it's so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I see a couple questions. I'll take one clearly directed at me, and then the other one clearly directed at you. And so one is Dauntless coming down to SDNC. As far as a full team, I don't know, but I know we have a few people going down regularly for their events. But the more important question here is, what has been the most exciting part to plan for the August event?
The most exciting part, I mean, it literally just came together. Like, the most exciting part was being pushed to do it. It was kind of like I said, we were talking about it early in I want to say, was it September? I want to say we were talking about it in February, March, maybe. I should say more like March, April-ish. And then darts, we said, "Hey, you guys planning anything?" And I was like, "We are, but we were trying to like kind of figure out who's going to be doing what." And TnT Events kind of like gave up on it a little bit. And darts, we then was like, "Hey, what do we need to do to make it happen?" And I was like, "Well, we really just need support, if you're willing to help us wrangle the people and move things around." So there's plenty of footage on my YouTube channel of what we play on. One of the biggest problems that we would have had was just enough people to put their stuff. Like, that was it's a good space, but it's not a very, very large space. What you don't see, and you will see after The 24th for the King of the Hill event is the other side where there's, literally double the space. And we were able to get half of that. So we're going to be able to park everybody in there. So it'll be really cool because you'll be able to go in and watch your the gameplay and everything like that that's happening over here. And then if you kind of want to take a break or not get any risk by getting hit by a dart, you'll have the upstairs area where you can kind of just chill out, talk to your friends, things like that. But yeah, but going back to what I was saying, it was more exciting to have someone say, to kind of like push us to say, hey, you need to do this.
That's awesome. I love that that's kind of happened, and it's happening now, and we're gonna get to see the results from it, which I am very much looking forward to. And I love that you record basically all of your events and you post the footage up on your YouTube channel, which I thoroughly enjoy watching because it's competitive footage.
I give you some early access stuff too, just because I know you can't wait. So.
That's true. I am this kid in a candy shop when it comes to competitive footage. There's no hiding that. But yeah, so we've got the King of the Hill event happening next weekend for you, and I am very, very curious how your region takes to it and what their thoughts and feelings are afterwards.
So yeah, real quick. So just to give you a general schedule, and let me pull up the website, which is some things that let me pull up my website real quick so I can look at my schedule and add some more stuff. So we are going to have a clinic. So we're having the BTA clinic, the King of the Hill clinic, which is going to be Saturday, June 24th. We'll probably either be having a speed art clinic or a flat dash clinic July 22nd. We will be having two events in August, one being the APOC one, and then another type of clinic. But yeah, other than that, I mean, if you want to talk, I mean, we're running a little over time, but if you guys want to bring up speed dart or anything else, let me know.
Looks like there is one question about speed dart in chat there.
What was that? I missed it.
See if you it's asking about the speed dart tournament that has been.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so that's been that's basically going to be through speed dart. We kind of what we originally had done was we reached out to that. Well, they reached out. We had kind of a thing going on, which we still have a great relationship with them. We just haven't done as many events with them because we've been putting on, we've been branching out a little bit, which they understood about us from the beginning. When we had a tournament that was supposed to be scheduled for, I think it was actually last week. But just because of the situation that had worked out with them and going to Italy, which I really don't blame them on if it was going to Italy, they kind of, reprioritized their goals and they pushed it back to September, I believe, which I still believe is happening. I've talked to the venue. They definitely have that date set up for them as well. But other than that, yeah, it's a speed art event that's gonna be ran and controlled by them. So any questions that have to really do with that specifically, how it's gonna work out, is 100% on them. Because TnT Events is not really gonna be a part of that one.
Awesome. Yeah, I am. When I saw them post about Italy, I was like, oh, I know nothing about I have tried to kind of get connected with the European scene, and I haven't really been able to outside of the UK. So
Yeah.
I know Germany has a scene that's more leaning towards LARP and that side of things, but yeah, nothing about Italy is something I know. So I am very, very curious about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope they have a lot of good footage because,
Me
like I
too.
said, and I should give them a little. Speedart was has been a very good supporter of TnT Events from the beginning. So to have them to succeed would only benefit everybody. So give their support, watch their videos. If you see something that you like, tell them you like it. Tell them what you don't like. Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of the guys there, 100% support. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of the growth, not just for TnT events, but for all of the events in the hobby. I think with that, it's a good place to close out. Thank you so much for hopping on to talk about the event.
Oh,
I am
that's fantastic.
so thrilled to see what you've been doing and looking forward to all that you do in the future and getting to watch all the footage from it too, and hopefully getting to fly out and participate at some point.
Oh, I've been trying to get you out, and you
Uh,
know it, but
it'll happen. It'll happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. But all right.
Well, yeah, Sue, I hope to see you. Thanks for everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. Anything that you can do to support TnT events. I'm going to try to start getting merch up. I do have some patches that I just never got on my website. So if you can buy some patches, that'd be amazing too. I'll talk to you guys later. And Jang, all you now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for hopping on to watch, and everyone who's watching after the fact. Please go support TnT events. If you're in the Northeast, check out the events. It's going to be worth your time. Have some fun getting competitive and learning the formats. With that, I think we'll hop off, and we'll see you all for the next event spotlight. Thanks for watching.